Welcome to Mo's World, the baseball podcast. Yes, it's another baseball podcast where we talk about baseball like a few friends sitting at the bar. We value your input and would love to hear your comments. Please also spread the word about us. This week on episode 8, we're discussing prospects. It seems that each team handles prospects in their own way. Some teams build their teams through scouting, drafting, and promoting key prospects, while others tend to go for broke via free agency. However, it seems most MLB teams choose a middle path between these strategies. The size of the market, whether it's large or small, has a role to play in this process. Which team do you root for? This is our 8th episode, so perhaps I should enlighten you about the teams I follow. I am a baseball fan. I can watch just about any game on TV, but I follow the Atlanta Braves and the New York Yankees the closest. I hail from Levittown, Long Island, so that's where my Yankees loyalty stems from. Currently, I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and support the Atlanta Braves locally. I feel fortunate to support these teams because they are drastically different in how they handle prospects. It's interesting to note that following the Braves, I'm continuously amazed at the great prospect they promote and the immediate impact they make. From Chipper Jones to Michael Harris III, the Braves have had an outstanding track record in nurturing prospects. On the other hand, the Yankees have a history of having more suspects than true prospects. They've had players like Shane Spencer to Oswaldo Cabrera. Why is that? That's a good question. The common explanation I always hear is that the Yankees are consistently good and find themselves in the playoffs. So they tend to draft players lower and don't get the best prospects to promote. But is that really the case? Let's check a few things out. I'm going to have a few overviews that will be easy to follow along if you visit our YouTube page for Mo's World, the baseball podcast. A little more visual for you. It is very interesting how similar these two teams are, but are radically different in analyzing talent. Let's take a look. The Atlanta Braves' win-loss record for the past 20 years. To provide a bit of an overview of the Atlanta Braves' performance, we will look at their win-loss record from each season starting from 2004 through 2023. So here's the breakdown. In a total of 13 winning seasons the Braves have had out of 20. They won the World Series in 2021. Their highest win total in this period was 104 games in 2023. Their overall win-loss record for the last 2 decades is 1,683 wins against 1,527 losses. That's a winning percentage of .525. The Yankees' win-loss record for the past 20 years also produced a winning record in 15 seasons. They last won the World Series in 2009, and their highest win total in this period was 103 games in 2009, 2018, and 2019. Overall, the win-loss record for the last 2 decades has been 1,871 wins against 1,569 losses. That's a winning percentage of .545. So, after looking at how similar the past 20-year records are, I don't think you can use the Yankee excuse. So, how do we define the term prospect and not suspect? If we are comparing these two organizations, I'd have to say the Yankees have the suspects and the Braves the prospects. Now, the Braves' top prospects of the past 20 years have been hit and miss as well. Everything from Jeff Francoeur to Brian McCann, Jason Hayward, Julio Teheran, Andrelton Simmons, Mike Soroka, Ozzie Albies, Dansby Swanson, Austin Riley, Max Fried. They've also had their Kristen Paches, Drew Waters, Jordan Schaefer's, Brent Lillibridge. So they've had about 12 decent to good Major League Baseball careers out of their prospects. And they've had 5 impact players out of those prospects as well. The Yankees' top prospects in that time frame, they run from Eric Duncan to Robinson Cano, Ramon Ramirez, Jabba Chamberlain, Ian Kennedy, Dellin Betances, Austin Romine, Mason Williams, of course, Gary Sanchez, Aaron Judge, James Caprillion, and today's crop of Jason Dominguez, Spencer Jones, Augustine Ramirez, and Caleb Durbin. They've produced 10 decent to good Major League Baseball careers, with 2 impact players. Looking at the comparisons, I'd say the Braves have really only a slight edge. It's kind of surprising, but I think the Yankees end up trading players before they become a top prospect or even given a chance. The difference I've noticed in these two organizations are the Braves seem to groom their prospects to come up and help right away. The Yankees seem to hype their prospects more, and they probably do that to trade them. So when they make the majors, fans are looking for them to produce now. Seldom does that happen for the Yankees, who seem to groom career minor leaguers. For that reason, I feel that 2025 will be a very interesting year for the Yankees. Will they be going with prospects, expecting them to impact team results? Potentially, the Yankees could see a lineup like this in 2025, with first base covered by Ben Rice, second base Caleb Durbin, shortstop Anthony Volpe, third base DJ LeMahieu. Yeah, I know. Don't stop. Left field Spencer Jones, center field Jason Dominguez, right field Aaron Judge, and catcher, I thought, Augustine Ramirez. Wow, that lineup would be a first in the past 40 years for the Yankees to commit to that many rookies. So the chances of that happening is basically slim to none. I fully expect Spencer Jones, Augustine Ramirez, and Caleb Durbin to be traded for pitching or some other cause. Because that's what Brian Cashman does. And as I'm doing this episode, Augustine Ramirez was included in the Jazz Chisholm trade at the deadline. So that's one prospect gone already for the Yankees. Jazz Chisholm Jr. was selected by some of his peers as baseball's most overrated player. The Athletics Major League Baseball player poll selected the ex-Marlins center fielder as that title. So we won't really get into that today. Now, it makes perfect sense that the Yankees picked him up. But here's the thing. Prospect Augustine Ramirez is another Yankee who never got a chance. I really thought that he had a shot to compete for the starting catcher next year. He appears to hit much better than any of the catchers currently on the roster. Guess the Yankees will stick with Austin Wells, barely hitting 200. I think the Yankees like prospects that come up and hit 190. I mean, they must. That's all they ever do. I thought I liked Ben Rice when he came up. I was following him in the minors, and he looked good. But besides a few flash-in-the-pan games, he looks like he's settling in to be another 190 hitter who doesn't make enough contact and strikes out way too much. I think the Yankees have this talent trend covered. I'm just going to say now it was stupid to pick up Jazz Chisholm, but I do like him at second base much better than center field. I'd start him at second, alternate Cabrera and Torres at third, and sit Trent Grisham. But that's the Yankees for you. Geez, I didn't even make it through this episode without a trade. Oh, by the way, all this talk of prospects makes me think the Yankees' desire to sign their current right fielder, Juan Soto, to a free agent deal will be pretty intense. I'm guessing it may approach 14 years for $540 million if they do sign him. Now, the Braves? One thing you can always count on with the Braves, that you will not be able to figure out what Braves GM Alex Anthopoulos will ever do. He has been the Braves GM since 2017, and he consistently places the Braves in a position to dominate. I think he is the best executive currently in Major League Baseball, as he has set the mark on defining young talent and selecting the right ones to sign to long-term contracts early in their career. Other teams try to do it, but some are ruined by the selections they make. Just look at the fiasco called the Chicago White Sox. They signed Tim Anderson to a 6-year, $25 million deal in 2020. Last I checked, he was released from baseball. Eloy Jimenez, who was included in the recent trading deadline, they signed him for 6 years, $43 million in 2021. Totally overrated. Luis Robert signed for 6 years at $50 million in 2022. He's the best player on the team. And Yohan Moncada, they signed him for 5 years, $70 million in 2020. Another overrated player. The Chicago White Sox are one of, if not the worst team in baseball due to their play and commitment. Now, as far as signing that the Milwaukee Brewers did of Jackson Chourio to an 11-year, $130 million contract as a 19-year-old before he played his first Major League Baseball game, well, I think the jury is still out on that one. But these are copycat deals of the great contracts and control Alex Anthopoulos has signed for the Braves. Winning teams get copied, especially if they win a World Series. Now, I remember discussing this in episode 7, the All-Star Game recap and first half results, when I was asked, what is wrong with the Braves? I still feel nothing, yet this season has been a total misfire with massive injuries and a lack of magic replacements, as was in 2021. They have an awesome team that will not require a makeover in 2025. That cannot be said for some teams, prospects or suspects. That is so true, and I don't think I personally would hold on to prospects. I'd use them as trade bait. Like, what are the Baltimore Orioles going to do next year? They are loaded with talent, and they have more prospects waiting. How would this be for a prospect list for the 2025 Baltimore Orioles? Just recently promoted Jackson Holliday at second base. He's on the Major League roster and bouncing back and forth between AAA. They've got Colton Cowser, outfield, who's currently on the Major League roster and in AAA and with the Orioles. Kobe Mayo, third baseman. He's on the Major League roster and in AAA, and he'll probably be competing for a spot. Heston Kjerstad, the right fielder and left fielder, on the Major League roster and in AAA. And then they've got Cade Povich, who's been up for a cup of coffee. He's on the Major League roster as well. That's 5 players ready. Holy crap. They have major decisions to make at second base, third base, center field, right field, and DH. Here we are talking about right field being a question with Anthony Santander as probably having his best season at 29 with the O's. He signed through 2024 with a 1-year, $11.7 million contract. At DH, we've got Ryan O'Hearn, who signed through 2024. Third base is Jordan Westburg, who signed through 2024, and most likely is going to be competing at third with Kobe Mayo next spring. Colton Cowser, he's made his mark already with the O's, and it may be the time that Cedric Mullins gets pushed out of center field. Damn, this is a strong team, and it reminds me of how the Braves were built. So, this has been fun. Once again, talking about prospects and comparing what is best, trade or keep. I don't think there's a so-called game plan, but I do believe teams rely on what they are doing and how they are comfortable doing it in their market. As we talked about the Yankees not committing to their prospects and a team like the Braves embracing theirs, I think this shows us that a lot of decisions will be made in the coming months and offseason for many teams. Let's just see how the second half pans out for teams trying to make the playoffs and teams just trying to be competitive. Well, that seems like a wrap on today's episode. Oh, wait, I'd like to make a shout out to one of my biggest fans on my podcast. Today is my biggest supporter's birthday. So, happy birthday to my wife, Lori. I hope you have a great birthday. And I hope you guys enjoyed our 8th episode, Prospects or Suspects, on Mo's World, the baseball podcast. Join us weekly, new episodes released Friday for about a 20-minute broadcast. Thank you again for listening, and please tell your friends about us. We will look forward to next week's episode, the trading deadline fallout. So, whose world is it? It's Mo's World.